Okay, live here. Questions, we might get to them, jump in. Matt, you sent me it's funny because we did the wide shot one the first time, right? We did this
Yeah,
wide
yeah,
shot,
lower table.
and then we did the other, and then went this table here, and it was, remember I was talking about how I was like, "Oh, what am I doing? Why am I trying something new again, right? And
Right.
then we do the second day, and then Matt sends me a clip. Well, actually, I don't know what, like, Tyrion started posting, like, which is funny when people in your own office then start posting things you haven't seen.
You're like, ooh.
And Tiernan was posting clips with like music on it and stuff, and I was like, in the old days, like you wouldn't let someone in your office do that, right?
You have to run it through
Right,
corporate.
right,
Well,
right.
Or just even me, hey, get me that clip first, right? Like, get me that clip. I want to post that first. You know, I'm thinking how just, at least for myself personally, realizing, wait a minute, if everyone around you is being productive, if everyone around you is doing something, you don't stop that.
Right.
You don't try to bring a process
Right.
into it. Like, I don't even know how he got the footage. I mean, obviously everyone's got access to everything here, and but was it okay?
You stole
so
it from where? I'm just.
He's stealing a feed right
Yeah,
now.
right, right. He's just like, this one's mine.
But I'm always looking at like our own process, right? Our non-process process, or and I was like, everything we do, I want to always be hopefully some kind of blueprint paradigm for our clients, right? So I know what it's like, even me being all wild and whatever and no rules. Like I was like, wait, Tiernan's posting stuff? I haven't even seen that clip. But then again, I can't even keep up with all the clips. Johnny's making 10, 15 clips a day. I'm looking on our Vimeo and I'm like, wait, is that from the podcast or is that from the conference? I'm like, oh, that's from the conference, and he's posting stuff, up to Vimeo for me to pull down, and Tiernan's posting stuff, and I'm like, wait, is that? And then you're getting me clips, and I'm like, well, that's just what being productive looks like. But even I feel that immediate sort of like, oh wait, should we control this and get a process behind it? Should Tiernan be, clearing it with me? What if it's not something that I would like? Hey, I did it. I sat here. I went live.
Yeah.
So whatever I said, whatever you guys said, if I didn't leave the conversation thinking, hey, make sure that thing that David said doesn't see the light of day after the live. But I was like, oh, this is what I want our clients to be experiencing. That the in the moment now is the way to make content, is getting in the van and just going.
Right.
And the idea that Tiernan's posting stuff or Johnny could be posting stuff. I mean, Johnny would probably take a clip and he could add movie stuff to it. Like,
Yeah, it's a whole different process.
when you get in the van and you go, like we're doing right now, and you meet other people, you can't control what they're going to say about you,
No.
right? And I was even thinking, you get in the van, you go play some venue, and let's say the next time you come back and people are wearing shirts with your band name on it that you didn't make, right? What response should you have, right? I think it's an easy one coming from me, right? But
Yeah.
Yeah.
you should be at This Is Amazing,
Yeah. Where did you get that?
right? Like,
You made that? That's amazing. Yeah.
but the person that says, I can't believe they made a knockoff shirt and we didn't get any money from it, we didn't,
Yeah.
that's where people lose.
Yeah, they put the watermark on their photo still.
Oh. Bro, that
Dang.
hurts.
They do.
The, the watermark on your photos.
Well, that ensures nobody can steal it.
Because that works.
Isn't the right response is I gotta find the guy who designed the shirt and license it from him?
Ooh.
right? It's like, I gotta
right?
find the guy who just pirated this thing and
That's
got me tons of
amazing.
people to show up.
Yes.
I'm promoting you to one of
Put
my
him on the team.
Yeah,
That's what I
put you on
said.
the team.
Where'd you get it from? That's what I meant by that. Right?
Oh, that's what you.
That's
meant.
what I meant
Oh.
by that. Yeah.
Who did that?
Who did
means
that?
I want that.
Because whoever did that, and you're rocking it, and your friends are rocking it, you already have created something that is promoting me. I have a team of people I can't get to do that, let alone this guy comes out here and do it. We don't even have like that. He's already created the manpower. He's the perfect person to be a part of your crew.
I was on tour with a band called Strife, 1995, and started in California, worked our way. Eventually, we get to Syracuse, New York, and they were out of merch, and which is already an amazing concept that bands who are scraping to get by somehow found money to make a bunch of shirts. And you can't make enough shirts to go do a U.S. tour in one van. You're not like, you would need a whole other van, right, for all
Right,
the merch, right?
right.
But anyways, but by the time we got to Syracuse, they were out of merch. And I'll never forget, still one of the coolest experiences of my entire life was they talked to somebody at a show. And after that show, it was already midnight by the time the whole show's over, right? We then drove to some dude's house, and he had a screen printing machine. That's what he did. And from 1 a.m. to 3 a.m., we all screen printed. We made a design, burnt it right into that, something simple, and we were all, it had like a 4 or 5.
Yeah.
We were all screen printing to get a batch of shirts ready, hopefully for the next leg of the tour. But I remember even in 1995 seeing that and going, this is what it's all about. Like you got to know people, you meet people, even though you're in the van and you're driving, you're still driving into places you have no idea what to expect, right? But they had built relationships with someone. Some kid who was there had a little, younger kids won't understand this, right? But you would go to a punk show or a hardcore show, and there would be some kid there, and he had his own little distribution company. He would buy things, and he was like a little mini record store right there. So it'd be 3 or 4 or 5 bands playing somewhere. He'd have a table set up, he or she, and he'd have little bins of records that they were selling of sort of usually regional artists that, and they'd have a little, and you'd write your name down when you bought, if you could build a list back then. It wasn't the internet email yet. I mean, I remember coming back, I'll come back to that, but you'd write your name down and phone number and address if you made a sale. And they had shirts that they were making. So let's say it was a straight edge show, a bunch of straight edge bands, they would have like some sort of straight edge t-shirt they were selling, their own design, and, or like Syracuse hardcore, like whatever your local area was, right? But it was one of those kids that the band said, hey, I see you're making shirts. Yes, I have a screen printing machine. Hey, can we make some shirts? What do you got? I got 50 blanks shirts. But I watched all that, and I watched young kids or kids my age that were basically a mobile record store and merch provider, and they had a little business back home, and they would do screen printing. And I remember getting to this person's house where they had this little room and they were doing it, and I remember looking around, and we were making these hardcore punk, whatever shirts, but you looked around and it was like, local businesses. You could see the scraps of like shirts that didn't turn out right, but it's all, someone did local businesses, someone's got to make those t-shirts.
Right.
But then as a punk kid making shirts for the show, and then we needed it, and there we were, and we made, shirts till 3 a.m. and had to get on the road by like 4 a.m. to get to the next venue. But when you get in the van and you go, it's not going to be smooth. It's not going to be easy, but it forces you to be resourceful. It forces you to actually be just really aware of your surroundings. Because if you're just like this, you don't see, oh, there's a t-shirt there that says Syracuse hardcore, Clearly not at Walmart, where you're going to get that shirt, right? So someone must have made that. So when you get in the van and you go, it forces you, I think if you're smart, to look around. What's going on? Remember I asked you about this.
Right.
I asked you
yeah.
about, to this day,
Yeah.
well, what is that? Oh, I met someone, they make this.
That's right. Yeah.
What do they do? They've got a business, you know? So that's the thing that I love about getting in the van is you go, and social media does that now,
I was just thinking that.
right? That's exactly what that does. Well, what do you do? What do you, how'd you do that? We're sharing stuff. And
That's
kind of
right.
how we got on this topic was the idea that if you showed up as a band and you saw somebody with a bootleg shirt, your response shouldn't be, I can't believe somebody ripped me off. But
Yeah.
if someone takes your photo and posts it, and by the way, I remember, this kind of hit me when you said that. I remember, again, everything for me is 5 years ago. I remember what 5 years ago culture was because that's when I started. I remember someone saying, oh, there's a photographer here in town, but they're posting other people's like nature photography.
Right.
Like they're sharing it, and even though they're giving credit, it still appears as though it's your photography. So even, does that make any sense to you? Did you remember? So you have a little more photography background. Like, remember some of that stuff?
Got to give the
It's
PC.
still out there.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, people are very worried about somehow somebody's going to make money off of their stuff. That's really what they're worried about, right? Is
Right,
somebody
yeah.
else is going to make a dime off of my work, quote unquote.
Or get a reputation.
Yeah, or get sometimes.
Yeah.
Think that was there. So, I don't know. Especially with AI nowadays and everything else, it's like, how can you really be worried about it? If anything, you do like what we've talked about a bunch of times. You want them to take it, and you want people to ask who it was or whatever. And there was a guy who reached out because of one of the clients that we work with, and he was telling me how he always has new channels popping up that are claiming to be his. And it just made me think, that's actually a really good position to be in. If people are wondering, is that your channel or is this one? Like, you're so popular that now there's a bunch of channels. It's actually, I don't know, I get it if they're saying a wrong message or something or whatever, trying to get you in trouble. But otherwise, you should see that as a success, I would think, that people are trying to rip it off.
This feels like a tangent, maybe, a wormhole. But you were talking about how competition, it was the pants, right? So a big jeans label doesn't worry about a very, very small niche boutique label, but it should worry about 100 of them or 1,000 of them coming and eating their lunch. There's a similar thread in the opposite direction where if National Geographic's Instagram account said, hey, we'd like to repost and give you credit for your amazing shot that you took, you're like, oh yeah, right? Or let's say it's a punk band. There's a magazine or a really huge online, Pitchfork wants to interview us. Amazing,
Right.
woo! But a small person, that's not a big deal.
Right.
Or a small, Instagram fan page for, animal photography wants to repost you. You should be like, oh, it's like a mini everything's a mini National Geographic.
Right,
Everything's
yeah.
a mini Pitchfork. Everything's a mini merch provider. Like, there's kind of like the guys who are coming to eat your lunch in small ways, but there's kind of people who are coming to be a force multiplier, even if they're pirating your shirt, even if they're reposting your stuff, and they're not necessarily coming to your post. Everything's an additional draw or additional pointer back. Someone who loves what you're doing, they're going to work hard. They're going to go do a Google image search if there's no credit, right? They're going to do all this stuff, watermark or no watermark, to find out more about you if you're doing what you do.
Man, well, they don't have to even work that hard now because of the way the algorithm is set up. Everyone should be happy about
Right.
what they're doing is feeding the algorithm. So if Matt takes a picture and he gets 100 people to just copy his picture and post it, the AI knows where that generated from, when it generated, and it knows how to put that into the feeds of the other thousands of people that are gravitating to the other 100 people who are posted until they find the original. Do you know how many times I have found a clip somebody else posted that wasn't their clip, and then over the next 2 weeks, I'm finding, this is the person who made all that content.
Right.
So like we keep worrying about we're gonna get ripped off if we won't get the base that we wanted, right? In one sense, the audience like to fuel our channels, but that splash that creates another person, I have to share this, creates a huge whirlwind or a tornado that comes around the center of that eye, which is where you're creating. And so it helps you actually in this current economy because the algorithm is going to say, well, this is the person who originated that. Let's get them back to that channel so that they can enjoy all the other content this person is making. And so it's an amazing time to be alive.
I built my business on literally a handful of providential moments. Right? 5, right? Just providential, you meet a person, someone new, you respect. And the algorithm is giving you millions of potential providential moments. The things that don't even seem like a big deal. I mean, this conversation just got me thinking how on that tour, I met a girl, I want to say maybe Boston, Susan Wells. I think I got her name right. I think it was Susan Wells. And she was just this, looked more like a college student, like almost like preppy. And I couldn't figure out why she was at a hardcore punk show. And she was kind of dressed a little nicer than most people. And she had a zine. She had a magazine, a fanzine. We called them zines back in the day, right? She made her own magazine and interviewed bands and did all this stuff. And so she was kind of on those 2 or 3 day tours. She was just driving around with us, interviewing the band for her zine, right? And I think at some point she wanted to talk to me about music video stuff. And so we had talked, and I remember thinking like, this is cool. Like I'm going to be in someone's magazine, right? You know? By the time I got back from that tour, I remember she called to check in and asked like another follow-up question. Like, wow, this girl is so professional. Like a follow-up question for like a fanzine article. And then she said, I'm coming to California. I'm going to be interviewing some bands for my zine. Like she took it that seriously. A magazine no one cared about, no one should care about. She's interviewing hardcore punk bands. And now she's taking a trip to California. She stayed in touch with me. And she calls me when she's in California. And she says, hey, I'm at a concert. I'm on the bus of a particular band. It may have even been Pennywise, who I'd worked with. And so she, I think, mentioned Pennywise. She goes, but I'm sitting here interviewing a band called Blink. And they're in the room right now, and I'm telling them they need to make a music video with you. Like, like her, Susan Wells. Like, the first thing that pops for me, like life-changing career trajectory, money, fame, esteem, all this stuff, from Susan Wells, who I meet because she's writing a zine on the East Coast. And I didn't blow her off because it was a stupid thing, or I didn't think she was annoying because she was super peppy and just wanted to keep talking and follow up questions or whatever. Like, you know, she doesn't even look punk or hardcore. She looks like, you know, she's at a really nice Ivy League school and just does this for fun. Like, no, it was like you take people seriously, you respect them, they're putting the work in. She followed up. You know, stayed in touch. And then she's the one who was in a bus or a van and tells Blink, you should do a music video with Daring Down, right? And so that, I mean, that's that gold record right there, which is probably a platinum record somewhere as well now. But that's one providential moment, right? Meeting someone randomly, connecting. I could have 100 providential moments if I just wanted to be on social media every single day for 8 hours a day, saying hi to people, talking to people, introducing myself. If I'm a young creative or artist or whatever, fill in the blank. If I spent 8 hours once a day, once a week, just connecting, I used to have to get in a van, literally, and drive around and get to college towns and talk to people. And out of those people, out of those 1,000 or so people I meet one person.
Right.
And that girl sets me on a trajectory that I did not have planned. every single day, you could be doing that. So that's the part that still blows my mind about getting in the van and how everyone can do that today. But it turns out not everybody wants to get in the van.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, that's a huge part of each brand. Like, it's not, we were talking about this yesterday too. It's not an option either. Like, you have to be doing that, right? And there's something that, one of the things that we've understood is that the more that you do that, believe it or not, you will grow, but grow more than one way too. But also, after you do it for a while, you'd be consistent with it. You're not going to be able to pay for that kind of growth. Right. Like, you can't pay for that kind of growth. That's invaluable. Like, that's more valuable than you could ever pay for. And so now when you start posting organic, it will outdo the things that you're trying to pay as ads. Right? Just because you're communicating something of value to someone every day, right?
It's so funny. I switched my account like at least 2 years ago, from being a business account back to a personal account. I think now a creator account. There's different things now, but I switched back because I wanted to put cool music on things. And originally, when they all of a sudden introduced every single amazing song in the world, you couldn't put it on your content if you were a business. Okay? Now you can.
Yep.
But you can't boost it.
Oh.
Okay? And I was like, okay, I got some new things to promote. I kind of want to think about maybe I can get back in the game, boost a few things here on social. And as I was looking at it and kind of thinking about it, I was like, I can't boost anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's all organic.
Right.
I was like, it's all organic.
That's right.
Like, that's the game. We tell our clients this, and here I was even thinking like, well, it'd be kind of cool just to maybe put $50 behind, so $100, maybe $500, promote the show. That's not what does it.
No, there's no easy way out.
No. Right, yeah.
You have to do the hard work.
The algorithm is doing all that work now.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Which is why you need people to take and share your stuff. Take and rip it. Oh, post this, post that. Yeah, go do it.
Yeah, and unless I'm missing something, I still don't know why there's just not a repost button.
Yeah, some platforms like TikTok has the remix. TikTok has the remix.
Right?
No, YouTube as well. You can do some short remixes on YouTube,
But on Instagram,
there's nothing. No,
you
not
have
for
to
instance.
download, which is cool that they have that.
Yeah.
And then you post that up, and it still gives the other person the credit, has the watermark, all that stuff. So that's cool.
IG makes you work.
IG
makes you work. If you want to do it, this is why if you see somebody take your stuff on repost it on IG, you know they had to work to do that.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot of sustained attention for someone to say that, which means you should look at that and say, what did I do that convinced that person that this was worth taking whatever time that they had, not being distracted, rip it down, put it up, re-upload it, put some text underneath it and say, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so that's something that's a data point, right? We talk about that a lot. There's massive data points that we can get just from doing the basics every single day, right? Massive data points.
Coming off of the conference and then doing this new podcast, I was talking earlier how today I realized sort of where we keep all of our content for the stuff we're doing. I couldn't even wrap my head around how much content we have.
Right.
We made, done,
Right.
edited, subtitle. I was like,
We need to call that content GDP.
yeah.
Right? Finally produced content, it's all made.
And I was like, oh, we do it for clients, but I was like, oh, like, I'm here, like, we're here, like, I don't even know what the pipeline should be. I don't know how we should be sharing it. Like, Matt, you sent me all those today, right? Loved it. And I said, oh, let's make them louder. We figured out a few things. And then someone said, okay, they'll be on Vimeo. I gotta download. Well, when you send it to me, I had it on my phone, and that's John Sacco all the time. Like, just text it to me.
Right.
But here's a guy running a $100 million company, and we still have no pipeline. We still have no process. He just says, text it to me.
Yeah.
Because then it's right there. As
Simple.
long as Wi-Fi is working, right? Then he's got it, and it's like then he can just post it.
Yeah.
So even working with someone running a $100 million company, the most reasonable pipeline is just text it.
Right.
And then they save it and they can post it.
Yeah.
Even this idea of like, what's it called, a repository, somewhere you'd put everything, like, you like library, a Dropbox folder.
Mm-hmm.
So clunky. So I'm watching the speed at which you even receive something. Nobody wants something organized. As a matter of fact, if you want something organized, I think you're losing. As soon as you say, let's get organized, let's have a place where all this content lives, and this is serious blasphemy, I get it to most people.
I'm dying a little inside.
I know you are. I forgot.
It's okay. I know what you mean.
That's Proverbs. Proverbs dropped on you there too. You're so Christian. Proverbs dropping in on you. The time it takes to create a library, the time it takes to create some sort of structure by which to put
You're right.
content, you've already lost.
You're so right about
Wouldn't
that.
you use people's viewing, their feedback from how, from what you post and what pops, to let that organize either like a theme, organize.
Yeah,
or do
absolutely.
More of like, instead of, basically it's like you could sit there all day trying to organize like, well, I want to do this kind of clip and this kind of clip.
Yeah.
If you just put stuff out,
Yeah.
and you just watch and listen to comments, it's like going to the band, playing the show, talking to the people, you're going to find out, like, it's by playing
Yeah.
that you get feedback and you come back and do, oh, that was amazing, let's do that. And you can even do a best of clip at the
Yeah.
end
Well,
of the month.
and I have multiple people doing it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you post it, T posts it. The algorithm is what you're playing to now.
That's right.
Has nothing to do with did I put. I don't care how it gets out, right? But everybody wants this process of how to capture.
Yeah.
How do we capture them back to our website where they fill out a form?
It's the old world, right?
The old covenant world of marketing and advertising is how do we capture?
That's right.
Capture. And thinking about even that language, nobody wants to be captured.
I sure don't.
Sorry. This idea that you don't treat people that way.
That's right.
You know when you're getting caged in. You know when you're getting captured.
And the platforms know when you're doing it too. And so they reject that, right? Because they know the audience. The platforms want people that want to be on the platforms. And when the people feel like they're being captured, they don't come to the platform. So the platform punishes anybody who's trying to capture.
God bless MXPX and AWOL Nation. I begged them, and they didn't fight at all, so I didn't have to really beg, apparently. The new videos that I'd made for both of them, I'd said, just post the entire video on Instagram. Don't post a teaser.
Right.
Because the thinking has always been a little teaser on Instagram, because apparently no one watches more than 30 seconds on Instagram. Haven't we busted that myth already? Like, we don't, like this. No. Music has to be a teaser, and tell them it's over on YouTube.
Go across.
They're right there. So I call Mike Herrera before the first video drops, and I say, Mike, I kind of say that to him. I go, are you guys making so much money over on YouTube that the monetization, you need to drive everyone there? I guess that could be the reasoning, right?
Could be.
Don't waste a view here. Tease them, go where the money is, where we monetize it, right?
Yeah.
And Mike's like, I doubt that there's some massive income stream from just the YouTube video.
Right.
And he's like, no, I think it's fine. Let's do that. AWOL Nation, same thing. I call Burko and Scott, managers of AWOL. I say, hey, is anyone? I said, unless there's can we just please? I mean, they're like, yeah, let's go for it. Why would you not take an extra 30, 40, 50,000 views right there on Instagram? They're right there. The audience is there. The customer's there. And they both did that. It was really interesting because then I got to watch what did the YouTube video do. And on Instagram, let's say AWOL Nation, those first 20, 30, 40,000 views were fast, right? I look over on YouTube, 5,000, 10,000. Now it's fascinating, again, doing real-time data, right? Yep. It stopped around 30, 40,000 or something. on Instagram for AWOL, right?
Excuse
But then YouTube just keeps
Kept going.
going. I think we just hit 1 million on panoramic view. They met them right where they were at that moment. You can
That's
watch
right.
the whole music video right here. You're right here. Give it to them, right? But this idea of capturing,
I can't stand it. Yeah.
we got to get an email address.
Even the 10% stuff, I'm like, it sounds good, like, sure, save 10%, but just get out of my way. Like, I
Yes.
came here, I just want to buy it.
Oh.
I already have the money to buy it. I don't need to save
Yes.
$3. Like, just let me get it.
Yes.
Like, get out of
That opening pop
yeah,
up at a
all the
website.
pop-ups that come up, like, give us your,
Right.
know what you're doing. Like, sure, like,
Yeah.
whatever, but it drives me
And
nuts.
and those things tell you that whoever is still in charge thinks this is a good idea, and yet no consumer says, I love that. I love going to a website. I actually want to buy some tickets for a concert, and I have a pop-up, and I'm super interested. I got so sidetracked. I mean, they were offering a discount thing, like click, 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 click. Now, someone just announced that they're going to get that's going away. Have you seen that? There's a new update.
I did hear about that.
The captcha or the pop-up?
No, the pop-up.
Like all of it, you can your phone settings or maybe computer settings. I forget who announced it. You can just hit off, meaning no pop-ups can show up when you get to a website. You can just turn that off. But I guess the point of all that being is that when you get in the van and you go, the whole point of doing that is access to people.
That's right.
FaceTime, just right there, meeting people, you're right there, right? You don't get in the van, go play a show, and then hire one of your buddies to say, if anybody wants to meet the band after the show, sign up over here. First 10 get to meet them.
Mm-hmm.
And there was like 8 people that showed up to the show. And yet people treat their social media on day one like it's that way. They talk that way.
Mm-hmm.
People say, hey, we've got a beverage brand. There was a local beverage company I was following. I don't do them anymore, but during my sort of 5 years of trying to study all this and understand brand build and the psychology of all this, I was also trying to assess my own value. Like I was trying to figure out what kind of a commodity am I in the market today?
Mm-hmm.
And so during those 5 years, I would reach out to artists on Instagram that I thought were interesting and say, hey, my name's Darren Doan. I've worked with all these bands, biggest bands in the world. I'd love to do a music video for you. People weren't interested. Now that didn't say much about me. That told me everything about this next generation coming up. And it didn't tell me, oh, they just don't get it, or they're stupid, or they're ignorant. No, it told me they don't need me. Even if they do, they don't think they need me, which is the same thing. Whatever they're doing, they don't think a music video by such and such of a guy is of any value. And for me, I was like, I got to get out of this game immediately. I can't even give my music videos away for free.
How much of that, I guess a little aside question on that, how much of that do you think is like people still just love to do stuff with their group of people? Like,
I think so. Yeah,
like
of
they've
course.
got their friend who
Even
he's
more
got
so.
into-
Even more
right.
so. Now.
Sure.
Absolutely. Right. Well, I've got a guy I work with. He kind of gets me. I'm more comfortable. That's why bands work with me.
Well, I think NF even, like
Yeah.
all his videos have been the same guy just 'cause
Yes.
he's
He
friends
doesn't
with
want to have
guys.
to read treatments and then get pitched all these ideas and all that, so there's that. But I would do it like, I found this local soda company up in either Spokane or Coeur d'Alene. So I found them on Instagram. I mean, I bought their soda store here. I said, oh, look, okay. And they have an Instagram, got there, Pacific Northwest brand, and it was like 3 or 4, I mean, they had posts. I mean, someone was running it, right? I mean, they're a legitimate company. They're canning soda and shipping it all around the Pacific Northwest, and I'm buying it. So there's got to be business there, right? And so I made a bunch of commercials with their soda, and then I posted it. 1, to see if they would share it. They didn't. 2, I sent it to them. Hey, I made some stuff. I mean, and their posts were horrible. Just bad stuff, ugly. And I give them this, I mean, cool. It was cool.
Yeah, yeah.
It was cool. Never responded. So I'm learning at that moment about, do people even care? Do they appreciate it? Are they even checking? Maybe they don't even check. Well, but if they're not checking, that tells me how much they care about their Instagram and their DMs and their connecting. It could be a hassle. It could be, hey, this guy's a legit filmmaker, made a really cool commercial spot. What are we really going to do with it? We don't have a marketing budget. We don't have, it could have been any of those things. But what I do know is it got no traction. It did nothing. And so I would look at brands, I would look at bands, and I would take my skill set, which at the time I thought was pretty high level, and I was realizing nobody cares. Didn't matter. And so that started teaching me a lot about, like, okay, I wonder what's really going on with agencies and marketing and campaign. How do you capture people? What's the rollout? If we do something, how do we get their email or phone number or what? And those 5 years, I was just constantly trying to figure out, how is this medium going to actually work? How is it working? What's it good for? Now the idea, and now we see an entire culture, which I think is more normal now, like, we can't make enough content. Let's just share as many things as possible. If you're a brand and someone is making content, you share it all day long. Share, 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 share. Back we talked about yesterday, you don't go to that person's account and be like, oh, they're kind of half naked, or they're weird, or they look like super, if there's
Yeah.
no one thinks that you're affiliated with them.
Right.
You take any opportunity to share any work people are doing. And that's how the smart brands have figured that out. That we will let everybody else do the work for us. That's what I'm seeing right now. And I think it's really cool.
Well, people are making judgments differently too. If they like something that somebody else likes, it's like, that's really cool how they presented something that I like. It's not like, who presented something that I like? Can I say that I liked it because of that? No, the object, it really is the product.
Yeah.
Right? That's the thing now, right? And that's what's really great about the current moment is like, I didn't even know you like that. It's kind of creating these weird new subcultures
Yes.
that couldn't have existed before because there was no way to know that you liked this band too, or you like this drink or this soda. There was no, and now you got these guys who are like button down suits on, and these other guys who got, huge earrings, and they're all hanging out together around this one particular soda because they both like it, which you could have never put those two cultures together before.
No way.
And so that's why it's great to be alive right now, because that's being judged based off of just the product.
Yeah.
You couldn't get that before.
Yeah, it makes me think too with the way you were talking about reaching out. Did you do like DMs or anything, or was it just like on the
No, DMs. Oh yeah.
So it makes me think, like, I wonder how much now, instead of the back alley deals, if you're going on tour or something, hey, I need this, let's go back over here and talk. And it's much more Main Street, that's happening now, where people only trust it if it's on Main Street versus the back alley.
Interesting. Yeah. I wonder.
Did you get more shares than they did when you posted it to your Instagrams or your social media?
Oh yeah.
So you
No, that was but that's also what I was looking at, right? I had thousands of followers at that time. They had 200.
and you're posting it, and you got more people
Right.
looking at your stuff than theirs.
Again, I was just trying to absorb just the metrics. Wasn't even judging.
Right.
It's also behavior.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to figure out, well, is this an intern? Is this the head of
Yes.
marketing? Is it the owner's kid?
And I get it. Look, I've had people during those 5 years be like, Darren, I see your website. It's horrible. I will build you a website. I do websites I will build your website, right?
Right.
But I don't even have the energy to call that person
Right.
and talk through it. I don't, even if someone handed me a brand new, so I get it. I get it. It's everybody's busy. And that's what I learned. Everybody's busy. So the ability to try to connect when you want to connect, there's probably a lesson in there somewhere, which is that you sort of probably, that's why I kind of had half of my podcast series, Death by Opportunity, was based on that. There's too many opportunities now. That's what I mean by the providential scenarios you can't even count at this point. And so it's hard, which I think does create a level of,
Kind of fatigue to do.
yeah.
It
Interesting.
makes me think of the guy that sits on the side of the street playing his guitar with a hat or the guitar case open. Like, he's going out every day, but he's found his one spot that he's going to go. And it's more so that he's just putting it out there for the world. And whoever comes by and wants to, you know, lay something in there, say, hey, loved your music, and walk
Yeah.
on. Like, I wonder if there's an analogy there and illustration there as well. Like, he's getting in the van. He's just
Yeah,
he's stuck
yeah.
to that one town. He's getting up every day and doing it. But I wonder how much of that correlates to what you have to do with social media then. Like, it's more so if you just have to be out there every day playing your jam, and the people that like it will hear it and come. And
Well, this is, you know, even doing this, what's been fascinating for me doing this new series, I realized, you know, a few weeks ago, I was like, it feels like, just from my own quote unquote personal brand in the business, I was like, it feels like I have to go somewhere different. It feels like I have to do something different. The look of things, what I'm posting, how I'm posting it. I've done it long enough now, not meaning I've done it long enough now. I mean, I've done it long enough now that I can sense my own, you're done. Like, that album cycle is over. And I was like, shoot, if I tell David I want to do something where there might actually be a light, he's going to get so excited.
It's true.
But I was like, I really do have to force myself to get back in the van and to push the metaphor with some other guys too. And have no idea. We didn't talk about this.
Nope.
None of us talked about it. I didn't say, hey, we're doing this new podcast. Here's what we're going to talk about. Mark, I think at some point said, hey, do we have a list? I was like, no, like, you know,
Because I want to study up.
yeah, no, you did. Yeah, Mark's like, really would be nice if you're going to talk about Babylonian kings, if I could just
I gotta.
have a night.
Well, it's funny because I thought about busking. When him talking about dudes just showing up at the same corner and playing at the same place. Like, that's as lo-fi of a venue as you can ask for. That's like extreme getting into the van. You're picking out, I'm going to go to this spot, I'm going to show up at this place, I'm going to play consistently. That's how Ed Sheeran got his start. Okay?
That's more squatting, I think.
Yeah, way more.
Like,
Yeah.
That's permissionless marketing right there. Like, you are out there and you're doing your thing. But that consistently, you're at the same place, plugging away at the same corner.
Yeah.
Makes it pretty real. There's a lot of guys and gals who got their start just that way,
Yeah.
right? That you don't even need a venue. You have to get in the van, right?
Yeah, busking is you're right. Busking's a whole other, like, you know, especially if you're actually good. There's a lot of people busking that you're like, you know, but then I see you get like an Ed Sheeran, you're like, yeah, like that's those chops, you know. But that for me was like, that was the point. It was like, I knew if I just said, hey guys, we're gonna get in this van and go, because we and by the way, this is still forced, which is why it makes it hard, right? I had conversations with all of you guys yesterday after the cameras were rolling. I'm like,
Right. I almost started recording. I
man,
really did.
This would have been great. But that's kind of like when you jam together, then you go play a show and you're a little tense.
Same thing.
You know, it's
That's
like,
right.
you know, but you do it enough to where it gets comfortable,
Yep.
and then you start to, the thing in and of itself begins to have a voice,
Mm-hmm.
right?
It develops. Yep.
Yeah. And last night for me, not a lot of context for people, but my post this morning was the clip you sent me last night. And I think it was about filmmakers and the opportunity to be at businesses. And I talked about Schweitzer.
Mm-hmm.
You got me that clip last night around 11 o'clock at night or something, which take note for people who want to know what a work ethic looks like. It's 11 o'clock at night, you know, and I get a clip from Matt. When I look at that clip and I go, man, I actually want to post this now.
Right.
Had some technical issues. Got back to Matt. Matt, I think you did get it to me, or did I? I don't know how. Either way, I posted last night, right? Eventually, but I saw, not from the first day, but from the second day, I saw a vision, visually, of what this could look like. All of us talking, hanging out, and just the way it was composed. I was like, that's it. There it is. That's the new look. That's the new thing I was looking for. I felt everything had finally gotten stagnant, and I saw that. The day before, we kind of tested it out, the wide shot. Okay, numbers were fine, so it wasn't like people weren't watching it because of whatever, but like I was like, ah, and then you sent me that, and I was like, the bottom, we're all sitting there talking. I was like, that's it.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I was like, that's what I'm looking for. That's it. Yeah, it felt right.
I was like, and then it does something.
Mm-hmm.
So day one, what the heck am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
Day two, I don't know, a little bit back at the tail, yeah. End of day two, and I'm looking at something at midnight going, there's something here.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are, day three, and all of a sudden you begin to just kind of trust the process. Well, you trust the process, you have no choice. But then today I was like, I have reason to trust the process.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because this is what we do every day. Anyways, we talk about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like that's what we do. And if people are going to come work here or want to work with us, this is who we are.
Right.
You know, like, we're not like, hey, today guys, we're going to talk about gear and this and that, and then people get around us and we got to talk about gear and whatever the theme of it's like. No, the authentic nature of getting in the van and doing this for me and for us is this is who we are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we could switch on a dime and go into any subject.
Love to talk about gear.
You know, oh
I was gonna say we
no.
could talk about gear.
Oh no.
You said gear, D. You know, you can't say gear. You can't say gear around me, D.
Look,
Gear,
I love
gear,
gear,
gear.
too. I mean, it's not that I don't love gear. I love gear. I just, you know, I actually probably love gear too much. And I'm actually probably too picky because I still don't think anyone's built the camera.
Mm-mm.
I still don't think anyone or any of these brands have built the camera.
Well, especially since this keeps changing, right?
I mean, you said it when we got done doing table scraps, and you're as
Oh,
picky as it gets, and David goes, I could just shot the whole thing on iPhones. Just because of how close you can get, just the ability to get close to food and all that stuff.
and
I'm like,
movements and
when-
all.
For David to say that, I was like, oh no.
I had shot envy. I was looking at all your shots from your iPhone. I'm like, those are the angles I would love. We were using the 4D too.
I know.
And so like we had great cameras, fantastic. And I don't want to be looking at a $15,000, $20,000 camera and seeing an iPhone outdo it image-wise and composition. I'm like, I can't even move this thing like that.
I had someone say to me, actually, well, if they hear me talking about it, I guess it would make my point. It would mean that they're actually watching, and more people are watching. You think, but I had someone come up to me and said, "Hey, they do brand build stuff in town, and they had some questions, and I was answering those questions. I just saw them out in public, and the punchline was they said, well, it can be a little hard to get stuff done because by the time I get the videographer there, it's, you know, that takes time scheduling that. And I said, well, and we're not talking like the stuff being filmed wasn't the kind of thing I think you'd hire. I said, well, you know, you could just use your iPhone, you know, like for real. And they said, well, no, I mean,
Yeah.
and I said, I would.
Mm-hmm.
And the person said, well, yeah, but you wouldn't like, well, but you know, there's a level of quality, like you wouldn't shoot a music video on an iPhone. I was like, well, A, yes, I would. B, I have, you know. C, wait till my newest AWOL Nation music video
Right,
drops. So it's
right.
80, 90% all on the iPhone,
Right.
right? Go to the Jason Mraz. Which one is it? Look for the Good. Look for the Good was all iPhone. And that was because we got there with all the gear. I forget who was on there. Matt, were you on that day?
Not yet.
I forget. Okay. Well, I had 5 cameras there. Everyone, we had Red cameras, we had Panasonics, we had the Black Magics, all that. And I knew what our day was at that recycling facility. And I'm thinking, and it's bright and it's sunny. And I just, in the night before, looking at all the gear. And then I just looked at my iPhone. I said, I think we're going to shoot the whole video on iPhone on a little
Stabilizer.
Actually, no, it wasn't a stabilizer. It was a little mini tripod.
Monopod or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah. And everyone's like, we have all this gear. I go, but I don't think I can move fast. I don't think I can do what I want to do. I don't know. I don't feel like I can connect. So that morning we go see Jason Mraz, coffee shop, and I say, hey Jason, I kind of explained that whole thing. I said, I just want to, and he's just like, sounds cool, man. Like, that sounds fun. It's like, maybe we can do that shot on iPhone thing, you know?
Right, right.
And I think Lady Gaga had just dropped a video for the new iPhone that they were,
Okay.
so turns out we weren't doing anything, you know, like groundbreaking because they were already kind of doing that campaign. We just ran around all day. Just, well, let's get this shot, let's get that shot, you know, because when you use an iPhone, you are the lens choice here.
Yeah, that's
or
right.
Here, you are, but on a quote unquote real camera, you got to put lenses. I want to get this shot. I want to get this.
That's right.
But I said to this person, well, no, I think you can. So when I hear people talking about limitations for social media content,
That's a good connect.
no, there is no, you want that speed, and you
That's
want to be able
right.
to bring that speed to your client.
That's right.
You know, well, that was Colton
The same thing. Yeah.
Dixon music video.
Yep.
We had everything there.
Oh, we had a lot of good stuff there.
a lot of great stuff.
Some
And
very
all of a-
expensive lenses.
And then all of a sudden, I just felt like I wasn't connecting with him
Yep.
on the energy.
Yep.
Up and up, right?
Yep.
Up and up. And I was like, man, we have all this great gear, got this great location. We're at Urban Auto, everything's texture, all that. I'm like, man, I'm not connecting with the energy. And I could feel the distance between the glass and as far as him moving. Not like cool shots, him on the piano, all that stuff. No, not that, but like when on the chorus when he explodes, I was like, we didn't even put on. I just held that thing, right? Am I sure? I think I
No,
did.
you shook the energy into the camera.
Did I just hold it?
Yeah, it was just your hand.
Yeah, I didn't even
It was just your hand. Yeah.
try to make it look like, yeah, right. Yeah, I was just doing this,
Yeah.
doing that, where you could fancy it up and make it look like, oh, we've got this rig for the iPhone, and because of the rig, it's it's professional.
But then you take out the life you put into it, right? That was what was crazy.
So grabbing that iPhone and just going for it, and that is that's as soon as you begin to create barriers.
That's interesting. I'm learning more and more. But see, I've known you for a while, but now as you're talking about these barriers, that's the thing that you see when we come to shoots, when we dealing with social media, whatever it is. It's like that's the barrier right there, and that's what we got to get away from. Everybody else is trying to commit to the old way. Well, this is how we shoot music videos. That we have to have these lenses. We have to have these cameras. We have to post this many times a day. This is the old barrier. You're like, this is a barrier that stops you from being immediate with your audience
Everybody
and connected to them, right?
Everybody wants some sort of high priest that you have to go through.
Oh, dude,
Right?
that's a whole nother show.
Right? Like
That is-
everyone- because even the sort of high priest or priestess is the gatekeeper.
Let's just take this all the way back to the T-shirts in Syracuse, right? It's like, well, our designs are back in Los Angeles at the screen printing shop. We have to write them a letter or give them a phone call and have them express
Right.
it and then put it in a box and mail it. It's like, you don't have that option because speed's absolutely necessary to get the job done. We have to just figure it out.
Right.
And so, in this case, let's say you're a $50 million company, $100 million company, you need someone to figure it out fast. If you're kind of, you have your way of doing business, but that way of doing business is not going to allow you to make that connection. It's not allow you to build a brand all those different pieces. I think the connection is kind of like, it might not be the high priestess in marketing, but it might just be your own kind of like set of expectations. This is
Right.
how it's done. It's handy when you're either your hand is forced by circumstances, or you just have someone's like, oh no, I got this.
Right.
We find the guy who does screen printing here in the back of the, in the bar. I'm going to go find the guy, and then we're going to go to his house. We're going to get the thing done.
Yeah.
There's something about that moment too. It's almost like this shirt was made for these people at that time live, that you can't recreate any other place. You guys weren't going to get that shirt exactly the same way at the next spot. That's going to be a different shirt, right? But it's going to be connected to you. This is kind of what you were saying earlier, like this is just who we are, right?
Yeah.
And people, regardless of if they're trying to or not, are always communicating that by how they're treating their audience. We need shirts for you. We're going to make them tonight because this is who we are. We got to have something for you to enjoy.
Yeah.
Right? And it's really amazing that you're going to communicate this is who you are by not creating that kind of content for people, right? You're going to communicate that in a bad way.
One of my favorite things I've learned from bands, Shinedown, Brent Smith tells the audience,
Yeah.
right? You are our boss. We don't have a boss. Shinedown doesn't have a boss. The audience, he tells them, you are who we work for.
Mm-hmm.
It has to work for you. It has to play with you. We can't get away with anything, right? And so everything they do is based on that. And they're the most successful rock and roll band of all time. Look at the Billboard charts. The most #1 rock songs in the Billboard chart in the history of the Billboard rock charts, right? Selling out stadiums all over the country. And a lot of people still have no idea who they are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I love when Zach always tells the story they're on tour and he'll be getting his hair cut or going somewhere and see all the tats. So what do you do? I play in a band. Oh, what do you do? I play guitar. Oh, yeah. What's your band called? Shinedown. And he always goes, Papa Roach is on tour with us. Love Papa Roach. Are you kidding me? Papa Roach is playing with you guys? He goes, yeah, they are. Love Papa Roach. And Shinedown is headlining.
Right, I know, yeah.
Shinedown's headlining. But they love that.
Yeah.
They love it. They tell that story.
Yeah.
Who would tell that story?
Yeah.
Right? If you were insecure, you thought you didn't get your props, if you thought, no, I mean, he tells that story because their boss are the fans.
That's right.
And if you love Papa Roach, that's rad. That's amazing. Seeing your audience as the only group you're trying to please,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think that is the key. And I think that's why people have such a hard time right now with social media. They have such a hard time with the fact that the audience is now able to truly be your boss and vote for what they want or not want. Because you may think, yeah, but this is a better t-shirt. We spent so much more time designing it, and it's like, yeah, but it's not selling. I know, but we put so much more work into it.
Right.
That's one of the things that is causing a complete meltdown in the advertising world.
That's the band's problem all the time, right? With the technicalities of, well, you're not allowed to like Stairway to Heaven.
Oh, right, yeah.
Right? Like, because we know
Right.
I play the guitar better than anybody.
Right.
Right. So I know, but everybody loves it. Everybody loves that song. So it's.
And that's really, Justin on our team is out with AWOL Nation right now, and one of the podcasts that we are producing, the new podcast, I don't know what I can talk about. Anyways, but we're like, but the podcast deals with music and favorite songs and all this stuff. And one of the things that they realize in the midst of doing this podcast is talking with people the people, the audience, and it's like Stairway to Heaven. You know, it's what's the Queen song? The big famous Queen song.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, I mean Rhapsody. You know, it's like all things you would kind of roll your eyes at. Well, no, that's what people love. And by the way, those are amazing songs.
Galileo,
I
Galileo.
mean, these are amazing songs. And there's a moment when they're talking about and reflecting, and they say, "But it is probably one of the greatest songs of all time." Bohemian Rhapsody probably is. Well, we're sick of it. It's overplayed, and as musicians, you know, like, yeah, but to the audience, to a person who has a connection with that song, like you don't get to tell them, you know, like that kind of arrogance, and that kind of arrogance is all in marketing and advertising. Again, which is why there is this clash right now. There is this tension because you know immediately if something's working. And if it's not working, there's no one to blame anymore except you, the person that made it. It's not connecting. Oh, well, stupid people, they should be connecting. You can't say that in a boardroom meeting when you go back and explain why something wasn't working. Right?
Yet people do, don't
They
they?
do, but there's no one to blame anymore.
That's right.
There's no one to blame. The market tells you immediately, right? The market tells you.
And the rebound on the market is faster than anything we've ever seen before.
Oh.
So you can post something that morning that is not working by the afternoon, and by the end of the afternoon have something that is working because you remade and did something else. Like that's the market that we're in. Right?
I've posted stuff and it's like 400 views, 300 views. And I had a weird hunch, like, I don't know. Took it down, reposted it, you know, posted it again in the evening, 1,200 views.
Yeah.
So this is what is melting people's minds right now, to the point to where they don't even want to do the math. When you run an ad and it's working at Tuesday, 3 p.m., and it's working, the only thing you know is that that ad worked on Tuesday at 3 p.m. on that day in 2024. You have zero metrics by which to build off of.
If people want real data with that, by the way, they need to check out all these pages on Instagram that are popping up every day where they show the same thing.
Yes.
Every day they post it, and they'll say like, this page is dedicated to my marketing teacher. I wanted to prove to her that I could get more followers with a loaf of bread or a piece of bread flopping on the table
Right.
than her marketing scheme. And he's got 200,000 followers, and every day you see the variation, thousands, you know, maybe 1 million, back down to maybe 10,000, but every day posting that exact same video.
Woo.
Yeah.
Funny though.
Think about that.
Woo.
It's funny because I think that for someone who owns a business, thinking about this kind of stuff probably feels like, oh man, this is like crazy. It's like rocket science. But the picture I have is you're not even in the baseball game, but you're in the baseball stadium and you're just getting 100 pitches thrown to you. And you're just at bat.
Yeah.
Swing.
That's facts. That's good.
And it's nothing more than reps. Like it's almost like if I was going to talk someone off the edge, right? They're like,
Right.
oh my gosh, there's algorithms, you know,
Right.
and things don't work. And it's like, actually, yeah, sometimes you swing and you miss, but you're at bat, and you're taking pitches, and you're just practicing for the game.
Yeah.
And maybe you could even say, if it makes you feel any better, there is no game. The game is just actually the reps.
Yes.
Like you don't actually go and face, you know, the Mariners, or maybe that's not a bad thing to go against. But the point is like you don't actually play the game. The game is this. The game is reps.
Yes.
The game is swing. The game
Yes.
is try and muscle memory, but then pattern recognition. You start learning.
Which is why, up until this point in time, no one ever associated that kind of paradigm with marketing and advertising. However, everything else in the world works that way.
Yeah.
Every single thing in the world works that way.
Yeah.
Anything that produces anything of value works that way. Okay? Not marketing and advertising.
Right.
But that's the way it works now. It is just reps. Because people are no longer controlled with the sort of zeitgeist that we saw in the past. Trends, movements are happening in minutes and half hours in hours
Off of a sentence.
off of
Yeah,
something.
right, yeah.
Off of a moment,
Yeah.
right? And so all marketing, all advertising, all communication is now based on, do you have a team of people who are thoughtfully looking at the culture?
That's right.
And even if you had all four of us looking at it like we do for our clients, even we are not enough.
That's right.
And 10 people would not be enough. So you still have to make decisions. You still have to try to get a sense of things. You still have to know, hey, what joke is best to jump in on right now? Hey, are we overdoing this? Is this done? Hey, what's going on? Hey, what? And even then, all you know is what you knew for that minute.
That's it. And you start up.
Was working.
Yep.
And every day you wake up, you say, okay. Where traditionally, hey, you ran this ad, we found the ceiling. It's like, no, it's, it used to work really well. It's like, no, people are done with the creative. We keep talking about it. No, the creative's done. The creative nature of it is not doing its thing anymore. Humanity has moved beyond
Yep.
that creative, which again, I get it. This is like
Which is it?
high level, like weird math.
Is that another way of saying people are communicating differently than when you made that now, right? When you speak of the creative, right? That's what you're saying too. Like people don't talk like that no more.
Well, and we don't live that way
We
anymore.
right, we don't live that
We
way.
don't live that way anymore. I don't go to work and sit in my 9 to 5 world as employee Darren. Employee Darren, or employee Jimmy, goes to work. He can look at his ESPN app, and now he's in ESPN mode. I'm in boxing mode now for 5-8 minutes, right? So I may catch him with an ad through the ESPN app, or if I'm ESPN.com, because he's in sports mode for those 8 minutes. And then sports Jimmy's done, and now he goes back to work mode. Then I might check Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And I might get him there because I'm in Instagram mode, right? Then I go home, I might be at YouTube mode. But on our phones, we're switching between profiles,
Yeah.
right? I like heavy metal. I like steaks,
Yeah.
right? I like Travis Matthews shirts,
I like DIY projects in the backyard because I'm building something for my kid.
right? I am 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 100 different things and interests, which are all meeting me now on this device.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't just find me in one bucket of a profile of what kind of person you're trying to market to.
That's right.
I'm everywhere, and I'm in a different mode, and you might not get me on the first 5, but you might get me on rare Frank Miller artwork, black and white originals. That's where you might get me.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm traveling and I'm off on time zones and it's 3 a.m. and I'm scrolling,
Mm-hmm.
and you might get me there, and then sell me something or introduce me to something.
That's the interesting one to me, is the new stuff, because we all have our things that if you asked, what's your favorite band, what's your favorite food, what's your favorite clothing line, whatever, we'd have an answer, or maybe a couple answers. But none of us know what we're going to be interested in tomorrow.
Right.
Like, it can be that quick. So you could be reaching somebody, kind of like the example you gave yesterday of the individual who's listening to Tom McDonald.
Right.
They rightly should be, but
Absolutely.
Understood. They had no idea they would be a Tom McDonald fan.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
So, and Tom McDonald, I think he has enough data now from having done it these last, especially 3 years, that he probably wouldn't be surprised, but maybe he still would be surprised by who was listening to him,
Yes.
right? So I think that's on the side of businesses as well, like when you're trying to
That's-
target people, right?
That's a
Like,
great point. That's
you
a great
can't
point.
you can't know who's going to be interested in that, tomorrow.
Well, that's the heretical view that marketing people take, is that they assume they have omniscience
That's right.
about humans and how they're going to act
Mm-hmm.
based off a piece of content that them and 4 people agreed on. I mean, it is such high-handed blasphemy
Mm.
that people think they can force onto you what they believe is the best way how you need to receive this information.
Yeah.
I don't care how you want to receive it. I'm not asking. Let me tell you how you're going to receive information on this product, on our brand.
Which, how is that going for the mainstream media right now?
Right. Yeah.
Not going well.
They didn't listen to what they wanted to hear.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have just been neutral and reported the news and they'd be doing better. Just a new, right? They're not listening.
You know, that's a great tag though, mainstream marketing.
Yeah.
Like you just said, like that is exactly the narrative, dude. Like that's the old world though, once again, right?
Right.
Well, you just talked about blasphemy. That's an old god that they're worshiping,
Yes.
right? That
Yeah.
they think that they have this form of omniscience, that they've made the decision, this is what you're gonna have.
I mean, it's too easy of a layup, and I think we've even lost it culturally. But if understanding the power that the term God is dead had, what that really meant then, how powerful of a statement that was to say God is dead, right? But I think we're too far away to even say, look, marketing is dead. Marketing is dead. Doesn't exist anymore. There is only true, natural, organic communication. That's it. It has to be authentic. And not the authentic that people were pushing for 20 years. Make real conversations. People have been telling me the last couple of years, ironically, because of what happened this week. There was even some people I'd reached out to that do sort of music and marketing promotion, kind of in music space, platform space. I said, hey, I really want to push some kind of marketing, and I don't really have, on some of my clients have podcasts. Think about John Sacco. I really want to go to that next level with a new podcast for John, but I actually want to get a team behind it, like a radio team, to work the radio on it. And I'd reached out to people like, podcasts are dying, man. Like everyone's got a podcast. Podcasts are dying. And I was like, okay, interesting. Now, if I don't have data, I don't respond. I just go, okay, that's what someone's telling me. Podcasts are dying, right? The last year, that's all I've been hearing. Too many podcasts. It's a glut of podcasts. No one's listening to podcasts anymore.
Podcast fatigue.
But yeah, podcast fatigue. And then what do I see this week? A whole new round of the biggest $100 million deals for podcasts.
Yep, couple different ones, yeah.
Huge ones, right? And you got Sirius XM stealing stuff from Spotify.
Who was supposed to be dead too,
I
right?
thought,
I didn't know they still
I
existed.
thought Sirius XM, like no,
They're here?
right? 125 million
For Call Her Daddy?
for Caller. 125 million, and then you got these actors have their podcast. They get Jason Bateman and another $100 million to their
Yep.
podcast. Look, when people start throwing that kind of money around, that's because somebody has done the math and they see what actually pencils. And so I was like, man, I knew it. Like I knew, right? And the podcasts that are winning are just people taking those swings, just saying, let's try this. Like, let's just try this. Now, for me, I'm still always betting on the one providential moment.
Yeah.
Because that's all you need. The stuff we do and the stuff we do for our clients, we're not trying to sell 1 billion widgets for anything. We build brand for our clients. We build brand and we help architect communication because they only need to impact so many people for them to continue to be successful. We don't sell Cheez-Its. We don't sell Ding Dong. I'd love to, but that's not what we do. We're not trying to sell 1 billion of something, right? So if you're in that onesie twosie space, my goodness, this is even more of a layup. The ability to communicate your brand, talk with people within your industry, maybe get another account, maybe, $80 million account, $10 million account, like all because you had a podcast and you were communicating. And it doesn't even mean you have to know. We don't know what this is yet.
I think that's a secret sauce too.
Right?
Everybody's
I
trying.
have no idea that we're doing it.
Yeah.
But and even saying, okay, well, I want to generate a
We have a little bit.
We don't want no. But I don't because I don't know where it's going to go.
Right. No, yeah, we can't. Yeah, we can't know that. We're not omniscient about
Right,
that.
exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Isn't there a problem too in assuming you know what the outcome is of doing this, right? Where you're like, well, if we do this, it might cause X or it might cause Y, and that could be bad. And you're kind of like, you're not open to the, yeah, that could happen, sure.
Yeah.
What a problem that would be. Or it's too many people comment. We can't comment back fast enough. That'd be a terrible
Right.
problem. But it's more of like the serendipity. You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And you can't but you are increasing your odds of something happening every time
That's
you
right.
step in, every time you do something. And let's say you're like, oh, the only thing that happens if you post a whole bunch on Instagram is you get a lot more engagement. But you can't predict what one share, one post, one feedback back, one connection where someone DMs you like, you are dead on. I'm going to be in your neck of the woods in the next week. I'd love to chat with you.
Yeah.
That turns out to be the business partnership of the century.
Yep.
That you just don't know.
No.
I think part of the problem that people have that are trying to accumulate an audience is that they're trying to play to a too large of an audience.
Yeah.
The secret is not that. This is what's so crazy about the brand side of it and getting your brand in the van, is that you find the smallest viable audience and then you drill down on it.
Yeah.
And that's how you get oil.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And everybody right now is like, well, we have to have this huge audience. Forget it.
Yeah.
No, that's not where they're at. It's in finding this is why you say this is who we are.
Yeah.
This is us, and then we'll find others that are like, it'll build out from there, right? But you got to find, I love this. You love this? My guy loves this. There's a party about with people who just love these bottles.
Right.
And they're all there, right? And then we're all together. Well, what do you do? I do that. And then the connections run out from there, but you can't.
Is this Gary Brecka's?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not, you can't always calculate that.
Which I think we're going to do with Gary Brecka soon. I
Yo,
haven't talked about it yet, but we got a little something with Gary Brecka
really?
coming up. So that should be pretty cool.
Yeah,
And that'll be funny because you'll have that, and there'll be, in that.
exactly.
little,
Get him to
be-
sign it somewhere.
that'll be-
Sign my water bottle, Gary.
That feels good. Feels good today. I mean, I still love that we're just going for this. We're doing this. We're doing a weird thing because we're sort of doing we're in the garage and we're in the van
Right.
at the
Yeah.
same time.
Yeah.
We're sort of
Yeah, I'm freaking out all the time.
we kind of got in the van, are driving to places,
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
on stage, and then we're jamming, we're rehearsing, we're trying it.
Yeah.
That's the best part about 3 people watching. Oh my goodness! That's why you do this.
Yeah.
100%.
Right? Every single one of these artists here behind me have played shows with 3 people.
Mm.
And they are amazing because of those 3 people that they played for. When I look and I see 3 people live, I think I can't even see the people that aren't here.
Mm.
Right?
Yeah.
Bands like are on this wall here and countless others have been in a room where they can see who's not there. There's 3 people in that empty hall. And they actually carried gear in, lifted things, And I just think when I see there's only 3 people here, I just go, I'm getting a taste of what those who have somehow taken particular ingredients to do great things, this is what they felt.
Mm.
Why do you do it? Why are you doing it? There's only 3 people. Why would you do that?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
Because those 3 people are important.
those 3 people are important, and those 3 people are a part of what make you, right? What you're going to become,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You need those 3 people. You need that one person. You need 5 people to say, okay, they showed up. Thank you,
Yeah.
right? And so your job is to keep showing up.
Mm-hmm.
Your job is to keep getting in the
That's
van,
right.
right? And going, we're going to do this. So, all right, well, I'm good. I think we got stuff to do. Knox has got football practice. You got to go, buddy? All right, okay. Good stuff?